This is Alan Kozin, the author of Got That Something, How the Beatles' I Want to Hold Your Hand Changed Everything, and you're listening to Fab Four Free for All, brackets, the brackets.
And welcome to another edition of the Fab Four Free for All. I am your moderator for tonight's show, Mitch Axelrod. And not the show's called Mitch Axelrod, but I'm your moderator, Mitch Axelrod. And joining me, as they always do, are
Rob Leonard
and
Tony Triguardo.
Tonight we're going to be talking about a brand new release as of this taping. The Gimme Some Truth, not Give Me, that's enunciated too well. Gimme Some Truth, the Ultimate Mixes, the new John Lennon box that came out in a variety of different configurations. I think there's a 2 CD, 2 LP, 4 LP, and a Partridge in a Pear Tree.
3 8-tracks.
Yeah, 3 8-tracks, 2%.
That would be great.
And a quad mix, yeah.
And a quad.
No, there's a 2, I think there's a 2 CD and a DVD as well.
Blu-ray mix.
Blu-ray, yeah. So there's a whole bunch of, so if it goes to number 1, it'll have the Egyptian syndrome where it was released so many ways. And
There's a
everybody
version that comes with Egypt
so.
Station, actually? Is there one that comes with Egypt Station? No, I'm kidding.
Yes, it does.
There's one that comes with Egypt Station.
It's the penultimate experience by John Lennon. No, but this, the three of us have been talking about this release, and it's a tough show to do because we're still trying to wrap our heads around why this was released. There's been rumors that, Sean said that they're trying to keep John Lennon relevant because, based on numbers, people are forgetting, and that's just happening in general because we're all getting older and the millennials are coming in and even younger, and they just don't know the Beatles and John Lennon. So, there was supposed to be a Plastic Ono box Ultimate Mix prior, which is in the box, meaning in the book rather. It says it in the book, but this was rushed out for whatever reason. So we're all still trying to wrap our head around exactly why.
I have a theory.
Go ahead.
Right now we're in the middle of some uprising in the United States. We have a president who doesn't tell the truth often. We have Black Lives Matter. There are, people in the street, I don't know if rioting is the right word, but some places there are people that are upset. Many of these tracks fall into what's going on today. We're trying to put itself into what's going on today.
Maybe the way people are feeling.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs here. Instant Karma, Give Peace a Chance. All the ones we know and love, but sometimes you need a new release to remind people, oh, look, and that's, there've been, I don't know, Tony can answer this one maybe. How many Who greatest hits albums compared to John Lennon greatest hits albums? It's a battle of the century, right?
That's a humorous question. You add that in with the Elton John greatest hits packages, and it's hard to say. But it's funny you bring that up. But I don't know. You raise a really good point, Mitch, and Rob, you raise a good point too. But I think we can rule out a couple of things. I think we could rule out that, and I, for a minute, don't believe this, but I don't think it's a, quote, money grab. You hear a lot of people doing that. Oh, it's a money grab. I think there's a genuine, because of the way these mixes are approached, I think there's a genuine attempt at creating a new feeling for a lot of the music. I think there's a genuine move on Sean and Yoko's part to make something, quote, new. But to your point, Rob, it's interesting because I think one of the things that, and we'll get into this in detail, I know, but one of the things that's the fall downer that's so confusing about all the kind of marketing methods that are used for boxes like this and packages like this. We redid Double Fantasy recently, and we got the Stripped. That was only, 4 years ago?
No,
it was 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago? All right, yeah. Wow, it doesn't seem like it. But we did Double Fantasy, and we got Stripped. We had an Imagine box. We're going to get a Plastic Ono Band box.
We would think, yeah.
Well, it's written in the book.
It's written in the book, so
yeah.
let it be written, so let it be done.
So let it be done. But I think part of the thing that's a problem is that it's possible that John's music could be brought about and brought to the fore again with just new marketing techniques. I don't know how much you need. I don't know. Because of this idea that there's so much going on right now, because John is relevant. If the money that they spent on this project was done to take out some really serious internet advertising, a really serious promo package, a thing in Times Square on the billboard like they did for the box, and it just said, John Lennon said this, and bang, and advertised and put the quote from a line of a song, or you'd have people going, well, what's that song? Well, what's that? And you know what? You'd start getting many hits on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple Music, all that stuff. And I think that there would have been a way to have marketed John's previous packages without doing it with this. So that makes me think that they had to. There had to have been a purpose for this. I think
the fact that it's a fact that in terms of streaming, John Lennon has not fared well. He just hasn't, and that goes for a bunch of reasons. Again, the younger generation not really caring, because let's face it, he only had a few albums as a solo artist. He didn't have a lot.
His collection was very finite. Yeah, his catalog.
Very finite. Paul's keeps going and keeps going, and even George's is finite. But George's with the Beatles. Here Comes the Sun is a #1 on Apple, so iTunes. So not many people, and I don't think Olivia really cares about the relevancy of George as much as John Lennon, the radical, the what's the word?
Peacenik.
The peacenik, yeah. You're right, Tony. If I was in Times Square, unfortunately, no one's in Times Square at the moment during the pandemic. But if you're in Times Square and you see, and you just hear the opening lines of the song "Gimme Some Truth," that's pretty heavy, and quite especially, like you said, in these times of upheaval right now in the United States, especially. But so maybe it could have been done that way. But I think they really want to keep him relevant. Now, I think he's always going to be relevant because he was, let's face it, he was one of the only rock and roll artists to really not care and speak his mind. I mean, he really did things in his own way, and thank goodness most of it came out okay. Where we go, wow, that was amazing. How many people are putting out a song like Instant Karma in a day? Where you're mixing it and put it out within a week. But it's not done like that anymore. So he's always going to be relevant, and his words, as long as there's this, I hate to say it, but as long as there's the song Imagine, it's always going to be relevant. Yep. So it's tough though. It's a tough thing. I know Yoko's getting on in age and she's frail and she wants to keep him in the forefront, and Sean is taking over the business, so to speak. And he's the one who did the remixing on this with Paul Hicks, or oversaw the remixing. So
we might want to add that when you talk about the remixing, for anyone who's not familiar with the set or the idea of the set, it's Give Me Some Truth, and we're sort of leaving out the parenthetical comment of it being, quote, the ultimate mixes.
Right.
And ultimate, I think,
for who?
Well, hold on, where I was going to go though, Rob, was that we want to add in the idea that it's already been in the press, been mentioned that part of the goal is to feature John's vocals. So
right.
Well, we should talk about the three objectives of Yoko.
Yes, we should. But I'm just saying, when we talk about these mixes and we get into that later, we've got to obviously get that point across too.
Well, one thing I want to say two things. First of all, ultimate mixes might be a term the way Columbia uses the term essential. Like they put out a greatest hits, the essential Bruce Springsteen, the essential Michael Jackson.
Essential and ultimate are two different.
I know, but maybe this is Universal's new thing of how to market records. Oh, the ultimate mixes. I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking.
What other artists have they done it for?
No, I was going to say what other.
I don't know if they have done it for other artists. I don't know.
No, it's the this is the Lennon Estates proclamation.
Okay. My second thing is, Tony, about I'm not a big internet guy like you, but you know what would have been a great way to advertise this record on the internet? You set up memes with what you said. John Lennon said this, because there's a lot of memes of John Lennon that I'm not sure he said. You know, from interviews and stuff. I'm not sure, because they never say where it's from, and there's a lot of them out there. But if you actually had John Lennon said, "Instant Karma's going to get you," or "Bless you wherever you are," or whatever song you want to pick, and you put it as a meme, people will be sending them around who are fans of John Lennon or the Beatles, or maybe they just like the meme.
But is that what they want?
If you're gonna, I'm just basing it on what Tony was talking about. If you're gonna internet advertise this, or internet, put it around on the internet, it would be a way to do it, I think.
Quote the song title. Right.
Yeah.
You do. And you quote.
Couple of things though. We should. Tony, you mentioned it. So the three objectives of Yoko, as told to Sean and to Paul Hicks, who engineered with Sean, were that they wanted them to be faithful to the originals, which I'm not so sure is going on here, but maybe they are.
Some of them
wanted John's vocal. Yeah, they wanted John's vocals up front, which they accomplished, and they wanted the songs to sound cleaner. For better or for worse, they accomplished that. So those are the three objectives. As you were saying, Rob and Tony, ultimate for Sean, because this is not a greatest hits package. This is songs that Sean enjoys, and he put them out, 36 songs of his favorites. So you're not going to get, a greatest hits package again, because you said how many greatest hits packages, John Lennon has never had a greatest hits package that had Angela or I Know. So there's a lot of stuff on here. They did it chronologically to show the development of John, which I'm not so sure John developed at all, really. I think he just put out albums willy-nilly. It wasn't like the Beatles where they developed, infinitely every album. John's solo career was spotty, but and he had some great stuff.
It was a different ascension for John. The way he started, from '69, and then all of a sudden he hit '72, and he sort of hits a wall a little bit, and then he regains himself a little bit in '73, and especially '74. And
then doesn't do anything until 80.
Right. So
obviously is killed. So it's very tough. But we talked about it offline, both of you. I've talked to both of you about it. I think Gimme Some Truth is a bad title. I know why they did it, but they already have a Gimme Some Truth package out.
That's what's confusing, yeah.
It is very confusing. And if you go on Amazon or wherever you're going to buy it and put in Gimme Some Truth, they all come up. So it's I know this one's 2020, but I don't know.
Well, I think it has something to do with our current president.
Maybe.
Give me some truth.
But then Instant Karma is even more.
Yes, you're right. I agree.
Apropos.
But again, if it's going to be an up-tempo thing, then it's like I said to you guys. You call it "We All Shine On."
That would be a good title too.
Mixes. I mean,
I agree with that.
You could have had a picture of John Lennon and called it "I Know, I Know." I mean,
Yeah, but I don't think anybody knows that.
No, but I'm just saying.
It's not a very, known.
No, it's not. But my joke is, there's a nudge, nudge, wink, wink there, obviously. But and the song is on it, so
Maybe.
But I'm just saying.
But, it could have been more universally titled, that's all. And Rob, you know what? It's not only the United States. I mean, the UK is going through a lot with Boris Johnson.
That's true. That's true.
So, I mean, it's Gimme Some Truth could be for any situation at all.
Okay.
Not only presidents or that, or governments. It could be for, definitely is for governments.
Right.
It could be for any situation at all. I mean, so I also, again, the ultimate, it may be ultimate for Sean, but listening to these mixes, it's not going to be ultimate for me. Some of them are. Some of them are definitely going to be the ultimate mix. But just like the Beatle remixes and remasters, you're going to go back to some, the originals for some, and you're going to mix in some of the new ones because you like them. Same thing here. I mean, I'm going to definitely have a lot of these as my go-to. and a lot of them are not going to be my go-to.
Yeah,
So it's not the ultimate for me.
But and I've got to say, and I'd say this with due respect to Sean, he's there was some of the early stuff I didn't love of Sean's, but he's proven himself to be a very, very talented musician.
Yes.
But I've got to say that from the perspective of the mixes on some of these, I feel like he's someone who is somebody in that room was sonically challenged when it came to the bass. And I say that without that intending to be mean. But if you listen to John Entwistle's mixes, they were always incredibly bass heavy. It wasn't just because, oh, look, I'm the bassist and it's really important that I crank up the bass. It's that John Entwistle had a serious hearing problem.
Right.
And couldn't hear the bass because he had deafened himself on that end over the years. So he'd go in and mix something. And they'd let him mix something. And my question is, I'm listening to some of these ultimate mixes, and the clarity is there on some. But on some, I don't know if, I don't, look, and my deepest apologies to Sean and Paul Hicks if it's Tuxedo on a Goat. I mean, you try to put a tuxedo on a goat, still a goat,
Okay.
And the problem is, if these things in the masters, sounded like absolute shit, and there's nothing you could do about it,
then they cleaned up the shit.
Which is fine. But I think the problem is that there's mud in points when there just shouldn't be mud, or it sounds like there shouldn't be mud. The bass is muddy in some of these.
Well, these were mixed from the first gen multi-tracks.
And they were baked.
Analog, yeah.
And those tapes were baked. And baking, if the fact that the tapes were baked, or some of them were baked, means that some of those tapes were compromised.
Right.
Period. So
don't bake it otherwise.
Right. So should you have gone to compromised tapes?
But then what do you go to?
Somewhere along the way, with all of these greatest hits packages that were done, someone had to have done something. They had to, because they talked about the fact they went really hardcore analog here. That's all well and good, but like when it comes to the idea of bringing John's voice up, you and I were talking about this, and I was talking about this too with Winnie who cooks, and I was talking about recipes, and it's kind of like, if you want to bring John's voice to the fore, and you've got all these other elements going on, it's like trying to balance food or balance contents in a recipe. Food works on food chemistry. Everything's got to align. You can't just take John's voice and either just go, oh, well, here's John's voice, let's bring everything else down a step. So you're not 5 people, 10 people standing in a row and everybody else steps backwards so that the one person's now standing forward, or 9 people step backwards. It doesn't work that way. And some of these mixes, it seems like they just took everything and just went, scale it all back and push John up.
And that's, we'll get into it when we talk about a lot of the tracks, but because we're not, we have to say up front, we're not going to go track by track. And here's why.
You can't.
You can't. First of all, 36 tracks. We'll have 15 shows. You know us. Yeah. So we can't do that. But we were talking about it with all 3 of us. If you're going to A-B these things, what are you using as your source A-B? There's been so many different things. Are you using the vinyl from 70s? Are you using the remastered 2010s? Are you using the remastered from whenever they had? I mean, she's done so many, and more power to her. But what do you use as the A-B?
I agree. I actually liked a lot. Some people were against when Yoko Reed did the remixes in the 2000s.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed them. I thought they cleaned up, especially Mind Games, tremendously.
They did.
They did a little bit, maybe too much to Plastic Ono Band, but you know what? That's such a weird album to begin with, purposely done to be anti-pop in many places. Having like a bad edit, almost a working class hero, and Love having a fade up that goes like 30 seconds before you start hearing things.
That's a bone to pick.
Yeah, and
but anyway.
So I think what she did in the 2000s, and then she she corrected it in 2010 with the signature box, and she said, "Okay, Lennon fans, here are the original mixes again." And I mean, it's as you said, it's tough to judge which ones. Do we go back to the 2010 box, which would have been the best masters at the time, and go back to the original mixes? And
or the original vinyl.
That,
Well, and that's and you raise a good point too. Both of you guys raise a point in that one of the problems of doing anything in 2020, and Mitch, you and I have been talking a lot, quote off mic about the set. And I'm going to be honest, I went back and I listened to most of it again this afternoon, and I came away with a little bit of a different opinion about it than I've been kind of like feeling all week. But a lot of this stuff, for me, in its current incarnation on this box, it's headphone material. To really enjoy it, to really get into it, I've got to go back to being 13 years old or 12 years old when I was going out and getting my Beatle albums and my solo Beatle records.
Right.
And my Pink Floyd and my Elton John, and sitting in my room with my headphones on, listening to stuff.
Right.
But it brings around a lot of different ideas and a lot of different challenges that I don't envy anybody trying to create a package in 2020. Because when you mixed Plastic Ono Band, or when you mixed Mind Games in 1973, you put out a record and you were done. People were either listening to it on their turntable at home. They either had a crummy turntable, a great turntable. But their listening experience was usually going to be based on the equipment they had. Okay? If you had a crummy little turntable and a close and play phonograph that you played your record on, that's the listening experience you were used to. Artists would go into the studio and put up little speakers so that they could mix something for the car stereo. Because everybody had mono players in the car, and how did the single sound on an AM radio? And that's what you mixed for. So whatever gets you through the night didn't have to sound like the sonic masterpiece. It had to sound really great coming out of somebody's car stereo, coming out of somebody's crappy little Sears Wildcat stereo like I had, or being played on somebody's, Serwin Vega and their Altec Lansing speakers and their. But you were working with one medium. You were working with one idea. Sure, it had to work on cassette, but the principle was always the same. You never played the cassette of an album and then played the vinyl and went, "Oh my God, the cassette sounds so much better. The vinyl sounds so much." It always sounded pretty even-keeled. Now the problem is, you put something out and you got the guy with the earbuds, you got the guy listening, sitting at his computer with computer speakers, you got the guy listening through his computer's sound card with headphones on, you got the guy who's going out rushing to go buy the vinyl because he's gone back to vinyl collecting again, and he's playing all this analog redone stuff they did on his analog equipment. Probably going into a digital, a digital amp anyway, and coming out of his speakers, unless he's using an old tube amp or something, or solid state amp. But the point is, Ultimate becomes really confusing because you've got 18 different mediums you're trying to serve. You're putting it up on Apple and iTunes or whatever.
Yeah. Spotify.
You're putting it up on Spotify where it's going to be compressed. A lot. So you're in this fight with the medium before you've even clicked record. So it's hard to get inside their heads to know what they're trying to do and how best to do it.
But to your point, though, Tony, a lot of people do have the buds. So, if you're talking about headphones, today's headphones are buds. So is it as good? Probably not. But
your Beats and Dr. Dre's and all that are headphones.
Correct. But they're listening. So if the objective is to get the younger folks listening, then we have to assume that they mean by the earbuds and all that stuff. So, we don't know. I mean, again, without talking to Sean directly, we can't tell exactly what the purpose of the box is.
But at the same stroke, aren't you going to attract the kids or attract anybody just with the content? Do you have to go out of your way to do all that? Because whatever it is, you're guessing.
You are, but you know what? I think as long as you're guessing and as long as you're trying to make an educated guess, you might as well try to clean it up because you know
Yes.
damn well that this stuff sounded like crap.
Yes.
Whether you like the new mixes or not, a lot of Lennon stuff, especially.
Yes.
Because he wasn't his own producer, and when he was, he sucked. And
Well, Walls and Bridges, he was very good.
yes.
He
Yeah.
learned from doing Harry Nilsson.
But even that has some overproduction. So, you can do that as well. So, again, you might as well clean it up as long as you're doing it. And you know what? It at least puts out something for the next, who knows, 100 years from now, maybe this will be the ultimate mixes when we're gone. People
should say
know about, Plastic Ono Band, the vinyl that sounded warm and so tough. They'll just know about these. I don't know.
We should say that Paul Hicks is one of the top guys doing this type of thing.
Yeah,
and he works out of Abbey Road, and if it wasn't for Giles Martin, he worked on the song Yellow Submarine song track. Mm-hmm. So he's been around this stuff.
He did the Imagine box,
right? Which is fantastic. Which is one of the best things they ever put out.
Yes. So it is tough though. But a couple more things. We've talked about it, all three of us. The cover, I hate it.
What's the thing with the thing in the ear?
We're trying to figure it out too. Maybe because he listened to some truth.
That's what I thought, but that makes absolutely no sense. It looks like it's an earbud, but it's not.
It looks like a bad antenna thing.
Give me some truth. It's what he wants to hear. Is he wants to give me some truth. It's for the literal. I don't know. It's for the literal millennial. I don't know what it is.
I just don't understand that cover. I mean, look, I also don't like the picture. I mean,
I like the picture.
Everybody says, "Oh, it's a cool picture." It's an outtake picture that we haven't seen.
Yeah, that's true.
But which is kind of cool. But I don't know. I'm not. I mean, no disrespect to ponytail people, Tony. But John's ponytail. I don't know. It's just that's not Lennon to me. I mean, but it doesn't matter as long as he's on the cover. It's fine with me, and not some weird thing like Paul did with Driving Rain, where a different. It's a clear, nice picture of Lennon. I don't get the whole "give me some truth" arrow. I just don't.
I don't either.
So
I have to say the book is fantastic. I mean,
the other thing. The book is just. I mean, it's funny. The book is so. I mean, we've talked about it. How many times do we want to get just the book? We would buy just the book if it was out. And this is the continuation of the Imagine book, which was super fantastic also. And this is 124 pages. This isn't 24. It's 124. And there's a lot of great pictures in there. And there's a lot of information on who plays on all the tracks. And they show pictures of the actual master boxes. And the lyric sheets. And
it's really well thought out. I mean, this is a reason to buy it. If you might say, well, I already have all the songs. Yeah, of course. But you don't have this book.
Well, you know what? It's funny, Rob, because you may not. Again, we have to go back to who we're looking at this for. Because if it's for you and I, we have the songs. But if it's for, let's just say, millennials and people who may not know Lennon, well, maybe they'll have Shaved Fish. They picked up a vinyl copy if they thought they were cool, or maybe they'll have Lennon Legend. But you're not going to have I Know, and I mean, unless you are really deep into the catalog, you're not going to have Angela. For sure. How many people did have Angela? I mean, So, it's weird on this, but I mean, we'll go through a lot of the songs actually, but again, the book is unbelievable. It has a page devoted to every song.
Yep.
And it also has all, like you said, the lyrics of every song, and some of the stuff is not like I was looking at the book today, and unfortunately, for Angel Baby, they don't really have much at all about the song being recorded. They just have a whole page worth of Lennon and Yoko's quotes about getting back together. So there's not really, and Jürgen Vollmer taking a picture of the rock and roll album, and it really wasn't even on the rock and roll album until like the bonus track later on. It was on Men Love Avenue. So
yeah, so I was going to say it's on Men Love Avenue, but
yeah, but they show a picture of the cover of Rock and Roll because I guess it was a bonus track.
they should have shown the cover of Roots. But anyway,
Well, it was part of the original plan to put it on the rock and roll album, and then dropped it. So and yeah, Tony's right. It was on the Roots album too.
yeah.
So,
But I
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was going to say, but when you bring it up, that song in particular, that to me is just the head shaker on the whole record.
Well, let's you know what? Let's get into it.
Let's get ready to rumble. Sorry.
You want to take a break and then go back in?
I don't know. How much time have we been doing this?
About a half hour, I guess, right?
Yeah, break.
All right. So
I'll do a break and then we'll. All right. So we're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back and talk about the songs on what Sean calls the ultimate mixes of "Gimme Some Truth." We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Chiguardo from Fab4 Free For All here. Just letting you know that we have got a number of copies of the new John Lennon compilation, Gimme Some Truth, available for giveaway, thanks to our friends at Universal Music. So, if you would like your chance to win a copy, all you have to do is send an email to fab4freeforall@aol.com. Again, that's fab4freeforall@aol.com. And get it to us before October 31st, when the drawing will take place. And just put in the subject heading, "Give Me Some Truth," for your chance to win a copy of the double CD version of "Give Me Some Truth," courtesy of Fab4 Free For All and our friends at Universal Music. Thanks for listening.
And we are back talking to you about the "Gimme Some Truth" Ultimate Mixes box set.
hey, what's the name of the show again, Mitch?
Fab4 Free For All? Fab Forum? Oh, ooh. Who is it?
Oh,
Who is it?
Who is it?
Who is it? You could remix that later up and bring that up in the mix. Who is it? Who is it? There you go.
There you go.
Anyway, let's talk about again, we could talk about a bunch of the tracks. Let's talk about some of the ones that were really like standouts. If you have a bunch, I have a bunch of them.
Standouts good or standouts bad or both?
No, well, let's get to the good for now.
Oh, why?
I mean, there are there's definitely both.
Oh, why?
I will say this, Tony. You mentioned it in the beginning of the show. A lot of the tracks, people are going to be going, all right, that doesn't really sound like they did much except bring Lennon's vocal up and made it cleaner. So you know what? On a lot of them, that is the case. I mean, it sounds like Lennon's high in the mix, and it's cleaner in general. But some of the stuff I really didn't notice that much difference. But that being said, Tony, why don't you start us off with a highlight?
Oh, we're just going to go around, or we're just going to go through a bunch of ours?
Well, we'll go through it, but I mean, you could talk them, and then we'll talk about your song, and then
Your song's not on this. That's on the Elton box. Sorry.
Oh, right.
There we go. There are a couple that
Just 2 out of 36.
Yeah, there's 2 out of 36. No, there are a couple that I found that I really enjoyed as alternate mixes. And I did sort of A/B them with a couple of them with the most recent Imagine. And even the Imagine tracks were a little bit different.
Because people are saying that they're not different, and then some people are saying that they are, that they started from scratch. So
maybe it's context. I don't know. I mean, they were damn close.
They are, but it's weird, Tony. It's weird that if they did do them from scratch, why? Because they called the Imagine the Ultimate. So if you put in Imagine Ultimate and then you put in Imagine Ultimate for this, you get 2 different Imagine Ultimates.
I don't know. Maybe it was psychological part of it because I was bouncing around a bunch of things. Yeah, exactly.
It's confusing.
But I found that Give Me Some Truth itself didn't differ a hell of a lot.
No.
From the original.
His vocals clean.
His vocals much cleaner.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to hear his
No, you're
voice.
right. I did write close. So maybe it was psychological, thinking it was different, or just,
Well, with you, it probably was Psycho something.
nice. How do you sleep? There's that really nice spaciousness in that,
Yes.
which is really interesting. And Oh My Love is very, very delicate. I know you're going to want to talk a bit about Imagine itself.
Yeah, let's not get there yet. What'd you think of Angela?
It starts out beautifully. It has been castrated, I think, as a lot of these songs have.
In what way?
Because I want an effing dynamic sometimes. I feel like there are points on this box where I want a dynamic and it's not there. I think Angela sounds a billion times better than it's ever sounded.
Oh, see, I like that a lot.
It's absolutely gorgeous on this. But when it comes in with the da, da,
I know.
da,
Gave you, yeah.
when the big section comes in, I don't just want there to be a bunch of instruments back here.
It's a little lifeless.
Well, what it sounds like is that instead of enveloping you sonically at the points when John, and in this case John and Yoko, are not in the mix, it's almost like you're in the room with John's monitors and you're still hearing da, 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 like back there while you wait for the vocal to come back in.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way.
I feel that about a couple of the tracks. It's sort of just like I wanted to get one of the political prisoners and the da da da. I wanted that segment that's now so incredibly clean to also
you wanted
be
to bang you over the
loud.
head.
I wanted it to tell me that this woman is a political prisoner in the world. Bang! I wanted the gusto of the point of the song to hit me in the balls, not just political prisoners in the da da da.
But as a fan, I mean, look, as a newbie that has no clue who Angela Davis is, no clue, and you're listening to this as a song, not as a political statement.
She's a political prisoner. That's the lyric.
I know that.
That's the
Maybe
lyric.
they'll look it up later. But what I'm saying is, as a song, it's not on Sometime in New York City anymore,
Mitch,
where it's part of a whole...
Did you know who Angela Davis was the first time you heard Sometime in New York City?
No, I was 10.
Same here. But the song still made an impression because I knew that they were passionate about something. Because
I still think the passion is there. I think the beauty of the song is now there.
Gorgeous.
As I said, it's not on Sometime in New York City. So on Sometime in New York City, this gets lost with all the dreck.
It's lumpy. Yeah. The whole thing is sonically lumpy.
But here,
this is what I meant. I wanted it to just.
See, I feel different. I'm not going to skip it on this.
No, I'm not either.
I would skip it probably on Sometime. I would skip the whole album.
Nice.
But I wouldn't skip it here.
No.
So, you know what? At least to me, something comes off well from Sometime in New York City, which always comes off shitty in terms of, his catalog.
And again, look, I'm going to say, there are only a couple of things on here that annoy me enough where I would skip them. There's nothing on here that isn't a really, really pleasant listen because it's so much cleaner.
Okay, so Rob, you got a highlight?
Well, I think
just in general,
Angel Baby is, to me, the purpose of this album. I'm listening to this when it started up, and it's a cover of one of John's favorite songs. He said by Rosie and the Originals, and the arrangement and the horns and his vocal too sound like it was done yesterday. It, to me, is the best damn mix on the whole album.
But the spoken intro is gone.
That's true. You're right. The intro is gone.
It's kind of important, though.
No, because this, if you're listening to, the rock and roll album, yeah, because that's what he was doing. He's going back in time. This is a standalone thing now. So to not have that there, and this is what I want on this Ultimate Mixes. I want things to be different. I want endings to go on longer. I want songs to have, a difference that I've heard 100 times. I want to hear something different. Now,
Hey,
people
Rob.
coming into John Lennon at this point will probably say, okay, but I thought Angel Baby was fantastic. I loved it. His voice sounded great. Everything about it was what this Ultimate Mixes is supposed to be about, at least to me.
But Rob, you sort of made my point for me.
Oh, sorry.
No. By saying no. By saying that this is standalone. If it's on rock and roll, we know what he's doing.
Right.
But if it's standalone and this is a one-off from rock and roll, if he intros it by saying this is one of my favorite tracks ever, but it gives it context because it stands alone. Opposed
I know what you're saying, but
all of it's rock and roll.
But to me,
all of it's covers.
But to me, on a collection like this, you don't need that on there. I know what you're saying about missing the opening, because when I first started, I go, hold it, this has an opening where John talks. But then I realized, you know what? I like the way it just comes in,
and that's fine. And that works for you. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom.
No, I'm just laughing because I just
didn't like Angel Baby at all.
Can't stand that track. Never could stand that track.
Well, no, I never
liked
liked
it.
it.
I just find it like I just sat there going like all I kept thinking was why, like it just I just find that track so boring, and so all I would always think was if you were gonna leave one track off of rock and roll, that was gonna be the one. And on the box, I feel like I'm just getting hit with 8,000 instruments, and none of it just is pleasant.
Really.
Oh.
Maybe. But on Stand By Me, his vocal is really clean, very dry, not much effect on it at all, which sounds beautiful. But my complaint about Stand By Me is that it's so clean, but the drums are almost non-existent. I want to hear the toms. There's no toms. Like normally it's boom, boom.
I just wrote, there's no high end at all on the drums.
No drums.
The horns could be louder.
Yeah.
It's so damn clear, but it misses the bullseye. And I wrote, and what is with the damn bass again?
The only song here that has the bass really, really good is "Grow Old with Me." It's funny. No, that's really the bass where people said, "Oh my God, is that Paul McCartney?" It's very Paul McCartney-esque.
No,
but that's the only song on the whole album that I really hear a lot of bass.
No, I think the problem is there's too much bass on most of the album. Most of the album, I think, is thumpy. It's thumpy bass. Everything is.
But that's how John was recorded.
We don't know that. We don't know that. We know that they took these tapes, they ran them through the analog plates and the analog reverb. Like if you look again, like on I'm Losing You, you got Tony Levin on bass, a song that was recorded pretty late in the game.
Yeah.
And it's been deballed. Tony Levin's notes are really cloudy. It's bass wise.
And the drums on it. The rhythm section is deballed.
Watching the Wheels, same thing. The rhythm section totally deballed.
Well, I think a lot of the double fantasy tracks have lost their balls, so to speak.
But Woman sounds freaking amazing bass-wise. What do you call?
But Woman, can I just be a little? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be negative.
I'm stepping out. Also, the bass sounds tremendous.
But Woman, the background vocals are lower in the mix.
I know.
I don't like that. I love hearing the ethereal background vocals. I know they wanted to bump Lennon up, but wow, I know they were almost very close.
They could have bumped Lennon up and kept the backing vocals because
I think they kept them exactly where they were, but because they bumped him up, they seem lower.
Well, they did the same exact thing that Just Like Starting Over too.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Go ahead.
Purpose. And I'm listening to it. I'm like, if you're gonna lower them that much,
get rid of them.
Get rid of them, yeah.
Just get rid of them. I wrote where they are now. They're just annoying as hell, and
it's bothersome.
Yeah, and I thought that and Mitch, you brought up the hand clapping's really annoying.
Oh, the hand clapping and starting over sounds like, and it only goes on for one verse, and then they stop. In general, even in the original mix.
And here's a song where I've been spoiled because I love the stripped version so much.
Yes, but the problem is that in the beginning, it's every day we're used to making love, and the hand claps are going with the drums. The drums are very low in the mix, but the hand claps sound like a guy with two trash can lids slapping them together. It's in your face so much. It's like I can't wait for the song to keep going, so they end.
And the problem with
And I love that song.
And the problem with some of the ideas, and here's my recipe problem again. The problem with doing this, what musically, what was Just Like Starting Over supposed to be? A tribute to his predecessors, right?
Right.
So, wop, wop, body up, the backing vocals and stuff like that. If you listen to early Dion of the Belmont records and you listen, the lead vocal is here and you do hear it, but the backing vocals are up almost as loud as the lead vocal, and you've got a doo-wop thing going on, you got harmonies going on.
Yeah.
And that's what he wanted with Just Like Starting Over. So my question is, should Yoko and Sean's vision be overriding John's?
Like they did with Double Fantasy Stripped.
Well, but Double Fantasy Stripped was a single project. We knew the idea.
Right, I know that.
And what they were trying to do. And you know what? It works. But but that's a whole different, a completely different animal. You're not telling me, well, these are the same songs, but these are the songs you know and love, but now here are the ultimate mixes of them. That's not the ultimate mix of the song Just Like Starting Over, because John Lennon wanted to make a point with the recording of that track.
Right.
So what you've done is you've said, that's why we're saying the title's wrong. If you'd call it John Lennon, the vocal mixes, John Lennon, singer, call the whole box set John Lennon, singer.
I am your singer.
What's that?
I am your singer.
Very nice. That would confuse him. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but you know what? You're right, and that's the point. Here's the other thing, and we know we just we were just treated actually to Sean on John's 80th birthday released the BBC interviews with Elton John, Julian Lennon, and Paul McCartney, and you could tell everything was very emotional and very heartfelt.
Sure.
But Sean proved, and not that it's a bad thing, but he's not Danny Harrison, meaning he's not a historian, archivist, or archivist of his father.
Right.
He's a fan of his father.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. But, and John didn't write notes like, I want the doo-wops, whereas George wrote everything down, notes, so Dave knew what to do and knows what to do.
But part of it is, I think, is the age of when George died and when John died. John died when Sean was 5.
I agree.
And also, George knew he was going to die.
Right. And he purposely left notes.
Right, but my point is that Danny is more than just a fan of his dad, and look, Sean could do what we do and look up Starting Over on Wiki, and it would show that John wanted to, be, he wanted to do the whole doo-wop thing and pay homage. So, but he's not doing that. So, but I think, Yoko's vision or Yoko's objective of, I want to make it stay true to the originals. Songs like Starting Over, it doesn't hit the mark.
Absolutely, and
it doesn't because it you hear the piano way up in the mix and it's playing triplets.
It's so funny. I wrote that. It's nice to hear the piano triplets. Oh my God, that's too funny.
That is
it
nice.
Is what you want in a 50 song. You want the triplets.
Yes.
So,
but you also want the body out.
That's what I'm right.
You do. I mean, that was.
We saw your notes, Tony.
At the Beatlefest, and it was called Beatlefest then. At the Beatlefest in '81, when everybody sang Starting Over, when it was the first fest after John was killed. What did we all sing? The Body Ops.
Yeah.
That's what we sang.
Yeah.
All right, and we sang them loudly.
Well, I think it's interesting because, and we don't want to go into too much detail about this, but we've all been reading Ken Womack's book, what is it, The Last Year?
John Lennon, no, the last days of 1980, we're going to have Ken on the show, too.
But where I'm going is, it was cool listening to these versions of the Double Fantasy era material because I've just been reading about the arrangements in the studio and what they did. But at the same time, I also was rereading John's mission statement for some of the stuff, too. And that's why I'm bringing that up also, because it's, I mean, I'm Losing You should be the poignancy of that. Granted, you hear the emotion in John's voice. You hear
Yeah, you
on
do.
this. You definitely do. But this is another song that should be punching you in the face.
Well, if you're going to get punched in the face, please get Rick Nielsen and Bunny Carlos's version.
Yeah, there is
and
that.
switch them out. That's
There
what
is
I would have done, because not everyone has the John Lennon anthology,
Right.
and that's the only place to find it. So I would have put that version on this thing, because that's something different. That me a lot, like we've said, this is an entrance for John Lennon for new fans. Maybe right now, maybe they're 15. They say, "Oh, what's this John Lennon thing?" Well, maybe a parent gives it to their kid and say, "Hey, here's someone to learn about." And this is where they started, because it just came out. It would have been John Lennon's 80th birthday. Yoko's been pretty good to the fans about following anniversaries and stuff. So I think if you had a couple of different versions, like, the Bunny Carlos and Rick Nielsen version instead of the regular version, I think you would have got a different view. Though I happen to like the version that's on this, because, well, if I'm Losing You, because John's vocal is, I don't know what the difference is, but it sounds more emotional. Like
his voice sounds amazing.
Or something.
But again, I'm a drummer, and the drums, which had balls on the first one, just they're there, but they're not ballsy. They took the snap out of the snare.
And Tony Levin is cloudy on it. But all right, we're talking about ones that we like, and I got to go to two that I really, 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 really loved.
Okay, good, because I was going to say we've been very critical, but
there are a couple.
But again, that's our job, is to be critical. There are still a lot on here that's really good.
While I do miss the punch, and while it's one of my single favorite solo John Lennon songs, and I do miss the smack, I did listen back to it. I did listen back to it, and I really, really love the new version of I Know, I Know.
It's very well balanced.
It's very well balanced, and I've always thought that song was a masterpiece, and I still do.
Should have been a single, but
Bless You transcends John Lennon on this. That Bless You, there's no comparing it to the past mixes in any way. In the past mixes, the congas have this reverb on it.
Yeah.
It makes the congas very haunting. John's voice, when John's voice is not all the way up front, John's voice is very haunting on Bless You. But this song is such a gorgeous ballad.
This should have been a single too.
This should have been but it makes this an amazing alternate version. To me, it takes it out of the realm of even being like a John Lennon song, and it turns it almost into a standard.
Oh, definitely.
I would agree on that, definitely.
Because this mix is just perfectly balanced.
It really is nicely balanced. But again, I Know is really well balanced now.
Well balanced. And the one song I never liked, ever, that even the first time we played it on the box, I kind of went, eh.
What?
I went back again with the headphones on and played Steel and Glass.
Although, like I said, they take out the brass.
They do take out the brass.
I need the accent, though. I know the brass makes it very dated production.
Yes.
Maybe that's why they took it out.
But
no, I think the brass is perfect for that.
But you need it to really punch you in the face. That Tony wants to punch in the face.
But here's the problem, though. Stripping away the brass, and I don't know if you and I alluded to this, stripping away the brass as much as you did makes this song sound a lot less like How Do You Sleep.
Yeah, we did talk about this.
A little bit, but I never thought it sounded like How Do You Sleep.
Oh, it
does. The da-da-da-das, yeah, but that wasn't the main part of the song. It was the backing part of the song.
It's still, come on, he stole from himself.
One thing I do like about Steel and Glass is the strings are really matching what's going on in the song.
That's what I mean.
Where the accent with the horns is sort of the push to the song.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what I miss about it. I can go either way on both of those versions.
Yeah, I actually fancy this. It's interesting you say that, Rob, because I ended up really fancying this one. It's that intricacy. I love the interplay with the strings, with what's going on in the song. I really appreciated it on this. Usually that song to me always went on too long. I'd always be sitting there going, oh my God, make this end.
Well, it still does a little bit.
I got through it on this and I was like, wow, that was cool.
Bless You is an adult love song.
Yeah.
It is a song
I've
about,
loved it always.
we know the characters, but if you don't know the characters, it's about your ex being with someone and hoping everything's going okay because you still love her or you still care about her. And then the whole middle part, John explains him and Yoko's romance, which is so perfect for this song. And then I've always loved Bless You. It's one of my favorites.
Beautiful.
You know, let's talk about one of my faves, two of my faves on here. Every Man Has a Woman Who Loves Him. Very surprising that it was on here, and maybe because it was originally a Yoko song that John did the backing for it, and they brought his vocal up and took Yoko out. But
they just reversed it.
Yeah, but it sounds great on here, and it's always been haunting. It's just
I agree.
It's beautiful on here. The separation of the instruments is also well done here.
I wrote that tremendous mix.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Tremendous mix.
The other thing is Grow Old With Me. I know, Tony, you had a couple of issues with it, but Rob, to your point, they used a different demo.
Yeah, well, at least the beginning of it. At least the beginning.
Because it marries into George Martin's version.
Yep.
But I think it marries well. But I love the fact that they used a different demo. So, they were thinking about us a little bit. And I got to tell you, if they had this clean a demo, to give to the Threedles, maybe we would have gotten it. Who knows?
Funny, I didn't get that. I played this, and again, it's the idea that, and I wrote in big letters, sadly not headphone ready.
No, maybe not headphone ready, but this is my go-to on this song.
Yeah, I mean, John's vocal I thought was buried for those first couple of lines, and I wrote listening to this in context with the rest of the album on headphones was a very, very strange experience.
Well, it's a demo song compared to everything else produced.
And it's
until
at
it
the
flies
end,
into the George Martin production. It's a demo.
I think truthfully another mistake they made was Girl With Me should have finished the album, should have finished the set. And I think Happy Christmas and Give Peace a Chance should have been right in there chronologically where they belonged.
That was a little weird that they went chronologically and then those are at the end.
And then dropped those in at the end. That was a little strange. Give Peace a Chance, Tuxedo on a Goat. What can you do with it? It's got to be there, but it has
to be there.
Yeah, but it's a crummy recording to begin with. It was.
Well, you know what? They took out. Ringo did a drum overdub for it. It sounds like they mixed it lower than what we've normally heard. Usually, it's like maybe up high in the mix. It seems the drum on that's a little lower. Because I'm listening to it, and I've always was bothered by how high the drum was, especially fighting off the chorus part because the chorus part is so catchy.
And then Happy Christmas, like the sleigh bells aren't really there as much. The drums
Which is
aren't
weird.
there.
I love the sleigh bells.
So did I. I love the sleigh bells. And again, I wrote drums not fully sonic. Like, again, this may be an example where if you had to go back to the multitracks and bake them, and you end up using compromised master tapes because you baked them and they're still not perfect, you may be missing something sonically. I don't know. Dear Yoko, I thought almost sounded like an alternate vocal. I know it wasn't, but
the voice wasn't much of a difference in that mix at all.
No, but the voice isn't pushed up front like it is on the other material. It's just
right. No, it's actually opposite.
Which is like cool. Yeah, it almost seems like they pulled.
What
it
about
back
Isolation, Tony?
I wrote nice. It is truly an alternate. I the first time I played it, I really strongly disliked it because I wanted to be hit in the face with it.
Oh my goodness, it did. I was just going to say to you, Tony, this is your hit in the face because it goes. I mean, listen, the vocal comes in. I did A/B this one, and the vocal comes in much louder in the beginning. People say we got
absolutely.
It's but great.
You know what?
I don't expect that hit me. That came in so loud.
Do you know why? Do you know why?
Why?
It's not the punch. It's they split the vocals right at that point. I don't expect, and the vocals go sideways.
Maybe,
and
but
that's
I
what
thought
gives
it
you the
sounded
hit.
really good.
I wrote sounds amazing. And that's what the first time I played it, I was waiting for a better version of my version of it. What we got was a different version that is
Maybe.
really strong.
I like that one. But again, the cleaner you make things, the more the flaws come out. Like Rob mentioned, the edit in Working Class Hero.
Yeah.
Here,
it's really
as soon as he says, I mean, literally, when he says, when they, when they tortured and scared you for 20 odd years, that's the edit. And it's very noticeable.
No matter how you clean that, no matter how you clean that, it takes away the drasticness of the edit. The way Strawberry Fields Forever is just the opposite, where you barely notice the edit is there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure done on purpose. One thing I wanted to mention about Every Man Has a Woman, the version that originally came out on the Every Man record of Yoko Ono songs, was definitely just the flipping of the vocals. And John's vocal when he was singing to Yoko, in certain cases he's harmonizing. He's not singing the lead.
Right.
On this version, it sounds like he's singing the lead.
A total lead.
Yeah, and I happen to like the version on Double Fantasy Stripped also, because I thought that was, the perfect idea for that album is what they did with that song, because John and Yoko sound like they're in space.
Yeah.
And they're singing the song together.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's a very cool version. And sometimes I wish this whole collection was like Double Fantasy Strip. I know you can't do that. I know some people are already saying, well, Rob, you can't do it. It's for the regular fans. Yeah, I know that. But when you hear ultimate mixes and stuff like that, you wouldn't mind a switch over.
Well, that's what the box sets are for. We'll get more intimate recordings. No, I mean, let's face it. If we get
you're right.
all
Good
the albums
point.
and boxes, but like different things. And Mitch, I don't want to steal the thunder because you were the one that were talking about Imagine, but different little odd things. Like in God, for instance, the build up between each of the I don't believe ins. Again, when it comes to dynamics and drama. I don't believe in I don't that would get very dynamically at you. Not so much in this version, but here's the catch. When you get to the end, as soon as John says, and that's reality, it's like you want to cry. Like his voice is so upfront with that. And you hear and that's reality, the dream is over. Once you get to that part, it's really bare-assed. It's really like vocally coming at you, and there's a really great intimacy in that. So you've taken away one thing
and giving another.
So it's an alternate mix. It's not not an ultimate. Not an ultimate. If you could give me both, if you could give me da 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 da, and then give me the intimacy at the end,
that would be the ultimate.
Then that for me would be the ultimate version.
For you.
For me.
Some people may not be, again, like we discussed. What about let's talk about Imagine. For me, Imagine was a disappointment because although I did go back and listen to it again on different ABs, and it opens up, in the middle, and then it splits. As soon as he starts singing Imagine, it splits to stereo. It almost seems like to right and left. And it is on every other version, but not as harsh as this.
It's interesting. That's a case where, that's exactly what Rob was talking about. The cleanliness has brought out
the flaw.
Severity, the flaw.
I mean, that's what happened. Great. If you're in headphones, it sounds great because, you're talking about now it's in both cans. Instead of just in your head,
One thing they did, and it's on this album, but I think it was done for the Lennon Legend DVD, is that Instant Karma. At the end where he sort of loses his throat, when he's singing, they sort of cleaned that up. They made it something where it's not as where he's losing his voice at the end, and he didn't care because he was on fire and he wanted to record it that day. But they sort of cleaned that up a little bit, and I was happy with that. It sounds. Yeah. I always was a little disappointed that John let that go out.
But it sounds like they took out some of the slap on the drums.
A little bit, but you know what I would have liked, and
yes, Instant Karma. Yeah, they did.
This goes to the Lennon Legend DVD. Now they had 5.1 stereo, 5.1 mixes for that for the DVD,
which we haven't listened to, and unfortunately we're not going to talk about them tonight.
Well, I'm not talking about the ones on this.
Well, again, but I am. We talk about them because we can't get together all and listen to them.
Right. Plus, that's a whole other show, actually, 5.1 mixes. But one thing they did in the Lennon Legend DVD, certain songs went to the true ending. Like Instant Karma went to the last note played before they stopped.
Right.
There was, what was the other one that I heard? Stand By Me has an extra minute that they cut out. It's over 4 minutes.
It's on Roots that way.
Is it on Roots that way? Okay.
I want to say I think it's longer on Roots. I know a couple
of
songs are much longer on Roots.
And there's I forgot the other song. I want to say it's Whatever Gets You Through the Night, but I'm not sure. But a couple of other songs go to their natural end. And I wish they had done that on a couple of these songs. Now, some of these songs do go longer. Nobody Told Me goes way longer than the version we're normally heard on Milk and Honey.
But to me, the drums are mixed too low.
A little bit, but then again, those are rehearsals. So
I know, but they sounded okay on Milk and Honey, Rob.
I know. You got me there.
Right.
But you know what? What about Whatever Gets You Through the Night? Because
don't get me started.
No, I have to because the funny thing is that little organ swirl at the beginning makes it so much nicer for me than just a straight, cold opening. It's just it's 1 second, where the organ leads into the open.
It's like the drumming beginning of She Loves You.
Right.
It's about a second.
And it's on other versions though.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've never heard it.
I don't never heard it.
You know what? I hate to say this. I've heard so many bootlegs over the years. Maybe it's
probably a boot. I've never heard it legitimately done. It's always been cold. But let's talk about the other side of. While I love that, they
pick me.
Okay, Rob, go.
Because I promise I'd take from Tony. All I will say is, this was a song that. Well, no, let's put it this way. Is Elton John on the song? I guess that's the best track, the best thing to say. His piano is mixed like
way
nowhere.
Low.
And his vocals are
lower in the harmony mix.
Harmony, and it sounds like he's not even there. This is a major song for John Lennon. It's not only #1 song while he was alive. He worked with Elton John, who was the top guy at the time, and Elton came in and killed that song. His piano playing, his singing, his
everything.
And you don't get that from listening to this version.
You get the John Lennon version of Whatever Gets You Through the Night.
Well, there are John Lennon versions of that, but
I know, but
then give me that.
But here's what's bothersome. Here's what's bothersome. You don't get a hit single.
That's a good point.
That's the other problem. You don't get a hit single. You don't. This version of Whatever Gets You Through the Night is an album track. And I wrote, it sounds like it was recorded in a tin can. There's way too much voice. Way too much Lennon voice. It's way too not.
You need that Elton harmony.
And you need the Elton harmony, and you also just need to be two guys shouting above the din in a disco. This song was supposed to be.
I like that.
Yeah, this is the 70s, and that's the difficulty with, and Sean, we love you, brother, but that's the difficulty with Sean having been born in 1975. And I don't know when Paul Hicks was born,
90s kid.
But somebody needed to be in the room going,
no.
When your father recorded this track, there were people who were going about, someone needed to give somebody a little, and look, man, I'm sure the guy knows the history to a degree. He's not a stupid guy. He's a smart guy. But the deal is, put the ultimate mix into the ultimate perspective. Give me some, don't give me some truth. Give me some friggin' perspective. And redo the mixes that way. And that's what's frustrating.
Yeah, this was a disappointing...
Huge disappointment. Huge disappointment. And again, You know, it's not to take away from some of the stuff that's you know, and again, Tuxedo on a Goat stuff again. Come Together live.
Evening version.
That's true.
Even
better version.
But again, balls.
The better version.
But balls.
Did the original have balls? No.
No, but no version of this live stuff had balls.
Correct.
It wasn't. It sounds like it just wasn't well recorded.
Well, the
exactly.
86
So why put it on here?
Right.
This version's from the John Lennon anthology, because the version that was on the Live in New York City was the afternoon.
Was the afternoon? Yeah.
Was the definitely afternoon.
This is the evening show.
Yeah.
I didn't think the mix was that bad. I would have liked to known, you know, Jack Douglas is producer on some of these songs too, but Jack has gone back and remixed that whole album or show. I'd like to know if it's his mix, or is there another mix we're going to get down the road of, you know.
Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why do you need the Beatles song on there? It's a Lennon thing. Do the live Mother.
Ooh.
That
Mother is huge. I mean, and if anybody should know about the origin of Mother, it would be Sean. I mean,
no, that's a good point, but
Mother's not on here.
Mother, then even if it sucks in terms of recording, it's still a solo John Lennon. It's not the Beatles.
Yeah, but I think it goes to, you know, you make certain agreements with your record company. You know, when Olivia put out "Let It Roll," Capitol came back to her. She wanted to do a 2-disc set first of all, and then they said no. But then they came back and said, "Hey, can you put on some songs that people would know from the Beatles?" Now they didn't want to put on the Beatle version, so they took the stuff from Bangladesh.
Right.
So I think this is a little thing to the record company saying, "Okay, we got a Beatles song on there for you. Okay, make you feel good. Don't worry about it. People are going to buy it." I think that's why. And Come Together also does fit in with the whole political thing going on.
Yes, agreed.
So I can see why that's there. I mean, I still remember in 2004, the Republican conventions in New York City at Madison Square Garden, and they're playing Come Together with the big band that they had in the front. And I'm like, do they know the history of this song? Do they know that John Lennon said, "Come together right now, stop the war"? Meanwhile, we're going to Iraq and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did they know that it was a request to be written for Timothy Leary's presidential bid?
Exactly.
Governor bid.
I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah. But
also, let's just say, number 9 Dream, I mean, could maybe up in the mix anymore. It's like,
oh yeah,
somebody calling out my name, John. Like, what? No. It's like, wait. I liked when you heard like, John.
Next time
it's
like, you're gonna do that,
John.
we'll do it together.
It's loud. I love May, and it's a beautiful song, one of my favorites.
And just the fact that they used the original mix and didn't like try to put Yoko in there doing it.
Oh my God! Well,
I think Yoko was in the video, and that's when they got confused. I don't think she ever went back.
No, I know. No, she didn't.
But she was in the video, though.
Yeah, it's the video.
Yeah, she was.
That video.
I've got to admit, I was very confused that they put out that Mind Games official video using all the footage of whatever gets you through the night.
Yes, I agree.
Well, all the outtake version, all the outtake video.
Yeah.
But it was lovely. It was a lovely video.
It is, but...
And the quality's really good.
Yeah, but John Lennon 74 walking around Central Park fits whatever gets you through the night perfectly.
Yes. But,
truthfully, I've seen that footage in better quality.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Well, we know why, so don't go there.
No, but it's on the bootleg. It's on the bootlegs now.
Yeah, we just did it.
So, and also, I will say that one of my favorite Lennon solo songs of all time is "Oh Yoko," and I don't think there's much change in the mix other than his vocal being brought up, but the vocal is beautiful. I love the beautiful vocal. It's always been, Tony, you and I were talking off mic about when we first heard it, and we were hearing all these songs with no drums, and all of a sudden this came on with the drums. We went, oh shit, there's drums! Look at that, there actually are drums.
There's drums there.
Yes, drumming.
I want to ask Sean and Yoko a favor. Next time they put out a John Lennon compilation,
call us.
Well, that's we're available.
That's always.
but do we need to have How Do You Sleep on all these compilations? No offense. I mean, I love the backing track. It's some of George's great guitar playing.
Sure is.
But
Too much damn bass on here.
at this point, the
Too much
topic
damn song.
is so, not important. There are other songs to put on. If you're looking to, for only a certain amount of song, number-wise, that takes away a song. I mean, there are other songs they could have put on. I mean, I'm glad they put on Out of the Blue. That and I Know are so unusual. They're so fantastic.
But that's funny because they didn't do much from Plastic Ono except,
Maybe because, again, there's the intent of
there's four of them.
Right, four, and they're also doing the box set.
Yeah.
And again, now I hate to, but especially if you're giving me a damn Plastic Ono band box, why the hell are you Fading in Love?
Right, I agree.
There was the single version. There was the single.
That's right. You beat me to that one, Tony.
Why not? Why not just give us that beautiful...
Which is 1982, released in Great Britain for the one of the greatest hits album they released there. And the piano part just sounds so beautiful when you actually hear it at full volume.
Oh.
And for something like this, you don't need that fade-in. If you're going to do it,
goes on too long, and we don't need it.
Yeah, or end it cold, where real is love, and then just ends, and then it starts up again. Just change that volume, and if you get alternate mixes for Love, that would have been a nice thing. I agree about that. That bothered me because it's not the ultimate mix.
As we said, though, John's catalog was finite. It's very tough to pick 4 songs from each. Can I ask a question? Where the hell is Move Over Mizelle?
Ooh.
A non-LP B-side.
Two sides of the
Muddy mix, but it's about Yoko and his stay in New York and all the good stuff that you would want on the Gimme Some Truth box. And where is it? It's a song that rocks the hell out of it.
Right.
It belongs here.
Does Shawnee, what's it on? Is it on, it's on the rock and roll album? Is it a bonus?
No, it's not. It's on the rock and roll as a bonus, I think.
Yeah.
Bonus track. But it should have been on here, man.
It should have been on here.
That would have been a good choice. I think New York City would have fit very nicely on this.
New York City would have been brilliant.
Yes, it would have. Again, they wanted to stay away from someTime in New York City for some reason.
I understand that.
Because we're going to get the ultimate box.
Sorry. It would have been nice. I mean, there's a couple of more minutes on each disc. It would have been nice to take some clips from some important interviews of John Lennon.
No, I think they would have. I think it would have.
Put it at the end as like the quiet thing.
I don't know.
Maybe at the end. Rob's right.
The continuity of the album, I think.
Yeah.
Well, just because I think because this is a reintroduction for many people of John Lennon, or many people who don't know him.
Read the book.
Yeah, but a lot of people, okay, the book is right. Your book is.
But if you're getting the 2 CD, you're not getting the book.
Yeah, but it's nice to hear him talk about things.
Maybe
about people getting shot. Why people who like peace always get shot. You saw about Gandhi.
Well, I think it's too close to home for Sean. That's why he didn't do that.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
But also, don't forget, there are Easter eggs on these albums, supposedly. And one of them is on the 4LP. I don't know if it's on the 2LP or not. People will let us know. But on the 4LP, the runoff groove, after Give Peace a Chance, you got John and Yoko saying their names. John, Yoko, John, Yoko. It just goes on and on from the runoff groove, which is kind of fun.
That's great.
You leave it on. It's like you're listening to the wedding album.
Well, that's what it is. It's the wedding album. But that would have been kind of fun to, Tony had said that they should have done the, the Meat City thing.
Yeah, Geep Cuff and right.
Yeah, the backwards thing. If they did that on the runoff groove, that would have been kind of fun. If you don't know what that is, people look up Meat City.
Check the album.
Check the album. Buy the album. Buy the album. Buy the 45.
Right.
So, is there anything else we want to touch on? We're not going to rate this album because you can't rate it because it's not ultimate to me.
Too much subjectivity.
it is way too much. So it's not like Ringo the Fourth, where we give it a 1. I'm sorry.
But we did.
No, but I mean, it's not like we're going to do that. We could give individual songs ratings, but we've done that over the years. So the box in general, maybe we could just talk about for a couple of seconds. Is it worth having? Put it that way.
I mean, let's put it this way. When Beatles 1 came out, I said, do I really need this? Eventually, I bought it for $10. So, yeah. But then what they do when they did it in 2015, they remixed it. So you have to go out and get it again. So this is a remix compared to Lennon Legend, Working Class Hero.
So you're saying, yes, you should have it.
I would. This is a perfect holiday gift. Yeah, get me the Lennon disc or discs, or get the vinyl. That might be better.
Tony?
I definitely, originally before I headphoned it today, there was part of me that was kind of just saying, because there's stuff that is deballed, there was part of me that was saying, is it going to scare someone away from, or make someone go, yeah, all right, John Lennon, yeah, so whatever. But in terms of looking at some of John Lennon's absolutely magnificent compositions, in terms of hearing John's voice,
so clear,
right? So what can you say? I mean, is it if you're a real hardcore fan and you're a collector, should you have it so that you can hear it in this form? Yeah, sure. So that you're going to hear the vocals. If you're a newbie, do you want to give it to somebody and say, this is your starting point, but you got to promise me that you're going to go get other stuff? I think it's worth having. If you'd asked me 3-4 days ago, I would have been like, I don't know. But a headphone listen, and you gotta go through it on the headphones and turn your bass way the hell down low. Don't blow your lower end of your eardrums out. Just don't be a kid. Go and listen to it with the bass at a reasonable level.
Listen to you. Get off my lawn. Oh my God.
No, but just save your ears. Don't hurt yourselves, young people, please.
Well, I will, unless Columbo has something else to say.
My only one wish, that I'm just thinking about this right now, I wish there was a vocals-only version of one song, the way they do with the Beach Boys. Now, mind you, that's harmonies and different things, but I would have liked to have heard maybe Watching the Wheels, just vocal. No music in the background or something.
I want something, a demo. I mean, give me just the acoustic guitar part.
Maybe, but I think it would just be interesting to hear his voice alone, because he was always afraid of his voice. He was always doing different things to it.
But that's why the vocals are so up.
Right, but that you would need to have the vocals up. It would be the only thing would be the vocals.
Well, and I will end our discussion by saying that it's John Lennon. It's certainly worth having just for his voice alone, because if you bought anything else, you will hear his voice and it sounds nice, but when you hear this, it sounds nicer. Whether the mixes are irrelevant now or relevant to you or to the times, his voice will always be relevant. And as long as you hear it so clear, this box or set is definitely worth having. So,
and if Plastic Ono Band is coming out for Christmas, and for what we heard it is, I mean, this is a good setup for it. You know, this is a good setup for the most personal album he ever did, and not everyone gets Plastic Ono Band, because lines like "Just Follow Me" or "The 5th of November," he throws these endings and different things into songs that are personal to him, and that's something.
Well, that's personal to an entire country, though, Rob. That's not.
But let's do that.
November's not somebody's birthday.
I know that.
So, anyway, I think John Lennon is relevant, always will be relevant, and one of the most outspoken celebrities of our times. This only enforces that. Whether you like the new mixes or not, the songs are still good. So, for that, in that regard, it's definitely worth having. So,
and thanks to for putting it out. I mean, it would get it. This was for John's 80th birthday. This is probably the last time you're going to get a celebration like this for an anniversary. because by the time he hits 90, you know,
Sean will still be with us,
Sean
and
will
still
be
be.
with us.
But
Oh, we may not be with us,
what's that?
but we may not be with us.
No,
Really not.
we're doing these shows forever. One more thing.
One more
One
thing,
more
I
thing.
ended the show.
Well, the show's over. Okay. One
No,
more thing.
no.
There was one thing I thought was very cool. I was looking for pictures of Julian since it was a Sean project, and there are two
there are a
pictures
lot.
of Julian. One is Julian, Sean, and Dad with holding guitars. Well, Sean
Yeah.
isn't, but the other two are. And then the other one, which I'm sure Julian had a say in or asked, but there's a picture of John, Julian, May, some old guy as a cop,
Yeah.
and Cynthia.
Yes.
I was like,
In
God, first
Disney
of all, I've never
World.
seen the picture.
In Disney World.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? That was pretty cool because there's not many Sean pictures in there either. You think there'd be more, but there isn't. And it was a nice thing. It was a nice thing. I don't know how much Julian has a say in it. We know mostly Sean doing it, but it was nice to see that picture.
Not only Cynthia, but May.
May, yeah.
So, yes, again, the book has a lot of great pictures. So,
Oh,
all right. On that note, I have been your moderator for this show on the Ultimate Mixes. My name is Mitch Axelrod, and joining me, and I am glad they did, were
Rob Leonard
and
Tony Chiguardo.
And we will see you real soon.
Thanks, everyone.
We are the Ultimate Podcast.
Fab 4 Free For All was edited and produced by Tony Chiguardo at Word of Mouth Studios in Westbury, New York.
The opening and closing theme is My Dolly by the band The Badge, featuring longtime listener Jeff Slate, available on its debut album Digital Retro and recent Best Of compilation, as well as from the Fab 4 Free For All website.
Thanks for listening to Fab 4 Free For All.